fantastic episode of Ready to Die Fighting. I'm Chris, and for the last few weeks, I have been super busy learning how to preserve food. Now, if you've been following the channel, then you know that we've got a nice little garden going, and even though it's pretty early in the season, we were even able to harvest a little bit of spinach and put it on our sandwiches yesterday, and it was really delicious, a lot of fun. But eventually, hopefully, if I'm doing this right, we should have a lot of food in a few months. And we're probably not going to be able to eat all those veggies before they go bad because it's just two of us, right? And so I'm going to need to know how to preserve things. And it makes sense to me to learn how to preserve now before I have this huge harvest, because I'm being optimistic. I'm going to have a huge harvest, right? And trying to figure out then when I have all this food that's potentially going to go bad. I don't want that. I want to know how to do it now so that when all those tomatoes come in and all those peppers come in and whatever else I got going, I know what to do. I have the equipment I need. I don't know where we're going to be at in as far as this pandemic is concerned. Maybe some of those things aren't going to be available. I want to learn how to do it now, get all my systems in place, familiar with it, so when the time comes, I can just boom, 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 go and preserve this stuff and know how to cook with it, know which things I like, which things I don't like, the best method for each thing, figuring that all out now. And it's a ton of fun. I've done some dehydrating. I got a dehydrator here. I'll do a review on that later. I've been doing some canning, mostly jams and jellies, marmalades, things like that. And then I discovered fermenting. And fermenting has been my favorite. It's really easy, it's super good for you, and it's very versatile. And it's pretty quick. Out of all of them, it's probably the quickest, easiest one. So I'm going to walk you through some of the stuff that I've fermented, and I'm going to also ferment some jalapenos and onions and tell you how I use them. Let's do it. This is lacto fermenting, what I'm doing here. I'm hoping I'm in frame. It's basically, you're taking vegetables, or you can even use fruit or whatever. I've even got some eggs that I'm lacto fermenting, and you submerge them in a brine. So salt water, 2 to 3% salt to water ratio, around there. And you just let it sit for a few days. And what happens is, as long as everything is submerged, you don't get any mold. You don't get any of the bad bacteria, the salt and the lack of air. So if it's underwater, then there's no air. It's, anaerobic is the idea. And most bacteria, a lot of bacteria, can't survive in these conditions. However, this lactobacillus, I don't know how you pronounce it, that can survive. And that's the healthy bacteria that we actually need, and it helps with our gut. It's like the probiotics. And it's the thing that kind of makes things taste kind of pickly. And so this isn't pickled because pickling is with vinegar, but this is just salt water. And it's really, really good. And one of the first things that I fermented was actually some green beans. I fermented them with I put some green beans with salt water and with some jalapenos and some onions and I think some garlic. And they were just so good. And so I tried the same thing with peas because the green beans weren't looking as good at the store. And I've got these ball lids where it's got this valve so air can be pushed out, because as this ferments, what happens is it produces carbon dioxide. And so the carbon dioxide pushes the oxygen out and creates these delicious, fermenty, pickly, crispy veggies. It's delicious. I think I let them go a little bit too long, just a teeny tiny bit. I tried them a couple days ago and they needed to go a little bit longer. I probably went a day too long, but they're still good. I still like them. And so you can mix different things in there to get these complex flavors. So it's kind of pickly, it's kind of salty, it's crunchy. I don't taste much jalapeno on these. There's just a tiny bit, just a little bit. It's not spicy. It's more like a kind of astringent, perhaps. It's nice, though. I like them. And so we ate all the green beans. We used them up. We ate them just like as a side dish. So I would make a sandwich or whatever, and when I put these fermented green beans as like the side. And so I've been trying to eat some fermented something at least once a day because it is good for your digestive system. It's also good for your immune system. And they're so good. They're so good. And it's easy. You just put it in a jar and let it sit. And you don't have to buy something fancy like this. I got some of these, and it works well on some things. I find it doesn't work really well if you have really small pieces because it just kind of gets through there. And that just pushes it down so that it's submerged in the water. And so I use those a lot. Now this is ready to go. It doesn't have to ferment anymore. So you leave it actually out. You don't refrigerate it. And so now that it's like done and I don't want it to ferment anymore, I can take this out and I can put a regular top on there and put it in the refrigerator. And that kind of stops or at least greatly, significantly slows the fermentation process. And so it'll kind of stay at this state. And so that's what this is. Just a little snack. So those are good. I like it better with the green beans, just because I like green beans more than I like peas, but this is good too. This one, we've got some tomatoes, some cilantro, jalapenos, I think some garlic, onion. And so this is going to be like a salsa. This is all jalapenos and onions. I think I put some ginger in there, probably. Can't remember if I put anything else. So this is going to be like a hot sauce, and that's why I got the blender. And this was some sauerkraut. Now this one, I used a baggie, and I got this out for you because I've done several things here, and this is the only thing that went bad. I actually did 3 sauerkrauts, and this is the only one that went bad. So it's, if you look at the top, I don't know if I can see that. You can see some colors and stuff there, like some pink and some weird things happening. So something wasn't completely submerged, and so it got some mold. But as long as you keep it submerged under the water, so if you look down here, this is all fine. And you know, as I'm moving around, you might be able to see some of the bubbles and stuff coming up from the carbonation. But yeah, that one's no good. So that one's got to be thrown out. The rest of them are good. Now, the hot sauce did concern me a little bit because I noticed that the garlic is turning green. But it's completely submerged under there. And I'm like, what's going on? That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be going bad. Is it mold? And so I did a little bit of research and found that this is actually really common when you're fermenting garlic. Sometimes it can even happen when you're cooking garlic. Garlic has a lot of sulfur in it, and a lot of water has copper in it. And so you get this greenish happening, but it's perfectly fine. It shouldn't affect the taste. It's not bad for you any type of way. It's just something that's actually quite natural. So I shouldn't have to worry about that. So this I'm going to pop in the blender and turn it into a sauce. But first, oh, I forgot this one. Here we've got some ginger beer. Now this I just bottled up yesterday. And this is a blackberry lime ginger soda that's basically made with the same ingredients as the ginger beer. It starts off with the ginger bug, which is basically meaning you're fermenting it twice. So you ferment some ginger first. You let that go for a few days until it builds up some fizziness and gets some nice fermentation going. And then you bottle it up. You put that top on nice and tight. And what happens as the carbonation, the CO2 builds up, it's got nowhere to escape to, so it's forced back into the liquid and it becomes a carbonated beverage. So if I shake it just a little bit here, you might be able to see, hopefully, maybe some bubbles, some little fizzies. I don't know if you can see them. They're little tiny bubbles. So I just did this last night. Let's see, maybe this one might be a little better. That one seems a little bit more bubbly, or maybe it's lighter so it's easier to see. I don't know. But you have to burp these every day. Otherwise, the pressure can build up so much that they can actually explode. So let's see what happens if I just kind of pop this open a little bit. If we get a... I didn't really hear much. I heard a little, just a tiny little bit. Oh, I heard it backwards. Nothing on that one. So that's fine. We'll let them sit. These need to sit for about 3 days and they should be good to drink. So let me show you the process that I use here. You don't need much. You need whatever you're going to ferment. You need a container for them, some sort of top, and I use a scale. Oh, and you also need salt. I don't have my salt. Right there. So this is the salt that I'm using. The important thing to remember here is it cannot have iodide. Iodide will kill the healthy bacteria that you're trying to grow. You also don't want it to have any anti-caking ingredients. So the only ingredient is sea salt, and it says something about how caking can occur. So this is a coarse sea salt, but it doesn't really matter. You can get a fine one, coarse one. Doesn't have to be sea salt, whatever. As long as there's no iodide, and as long as there's no anti-caking agents. So you need some salt, you need a container, and you need whatever you're going to ferment. You need a scale, and you need some water. So I'm going to do these jalapeno peppers. And my plan for these is when we did the green beans, we ate all the green beans first, and they had jalapenos and onions and probably some garlic. And I think I also put some rosemary in there. That's what it was. And once the green beans were all gone, I was like, well, I don't want to just throw away these jalapenos and onions. And so what I did was I just took them out and I chopped some up and I put them on top of a breakfast egg sandwich. So I don't eat eggs, I don't like them, but the boy, he had it. And so it was this kind of like an omelet on bread with cheese. And on top, I put these fermented jalapenos and onions, and he loved it. He said it was so good. So I'm going to make some more, just specifically for that purpose, to go on top of sandwiches. And we just got a barbecue grill, so we're going to be grilling up some burgers. And so I'm thinking it'll probably be good on a burger too. So I'm just going to slice these bad boys up. And I'm just slicing them this way. And these jalapenos don't seem to be super spicy. The seeds are a bit of a pain. I find that anything that's kind of seedy and really small, it's harder to keep it underwater. But, oh well. So I'm not going to spend a ton of effort. I'm just going to knock loose whatever ones are already kind of loose here. Oh, before we begin, let's weigh this jar. See how much it is. Push that little button to zero it out. There we go. And now, just start putting in your jalapenos. And I already washed these. These are clean. I figured you probably didn't want to watch me wash this stuff. And I've been told that I'm not safe the way I'm holding this knife some kind of way, but I haven't cut myself yet, so don't cut the way I cut. I don't know the way you're supposed to, really, but apparently not this way. I'm shaking all the loose. Boom. That's probably good. I'm going to put the onion on top so that it will hopefully kind of hold everything down a little bit better. Trying. That's it. Wow, that's kind of a nice little lid right there. Oh. Got some seeds on top. I don't want those in. Not on the top. Alright, that's cool. Now, we add water. And you add enough water to basically just cover it. Is it going to be able to go through? There, I like that a little bit. You want everything nice and submerged. At this point, you don't have to be too picky because you're going to pour all this water out anyway. All right, that's good. I'm just going to grab a bowl. All right, so we are at 0.344 kilograms. Now what we need, the magic number is we have to multiply it by 0.025, ballpark. So you can go 2 to 3, 0.25 is in the middle. I usually use my calculator on the phone. But let's see, 0.025 times 3. I don't know, is that 6? So I was wrong, it was 8.6. So now I'm putting this bowl on here. And I'm going to pour out all this water into the bowl. Right? I'm actually going to take these onions out. Make this a little bit easier for myself. My eyes are burning. All right. Now I'm going to zero this out again. So it's at 0. And then I'm just going to add salt until it's at 8.6. I went a little over. That's fine. Grab my spoon. And I just stir this up until it dissolves. And now here comes the hard part. I gotta try to pour this back into the jar. Ugh. Oh boy, it's where I usually make a mess. There we go. Pour back in. Oh, there we go. I didn't do too bad that time. Now, we'll put this onion back in. Smash it down. Oh, a bunch of seeds came up. Look at that. Darn. I can't remember how much I had extra onion there. Was all that in there? Was all this in there? I don't remember. Well, let's check the weight. I don't know. It was something like that. I think it's all right. Maybe I'll take these two pieces out. Just to be safe. I'd rather have too much salt. I already had too much salt though. It's all right. It's all right. We're doing good. Now you have a lot of different options on how you cover this. You could use one of these tops with like a spring, or I've heard people putting like glass, like a glass weight or something like that. A Ziploc bag works really, really well. So what I do is just go like this, and I just kind of stick it in there like so. Press it down real good, and I fold it over, and that pushes everything down, and it also pushes the water up. And then I fill it with water, and that just kind of helps. That gives it some weight and kind of makes sure everything stays underneath. fills things in. And there we go. That is donezo. Just gonna leave this for probably a week. You definitely want to put a label on it and put it in a nice, cool, dark place. I have a shelf in my cabinet, and I'll show you in a minute. And that's it. Am I in frame? I don't know. I can't see it. At least this is, though, right? You can see that, right? But I mean, how easy and simple is that? And there isn't the same fear with canning of botulism and all that, because the bad bacteria really can't survive in these conditions if you put enough salt in there. So I'm just gonna set that aside.